Hello, everyone, and a huge welcome to Career Circle's workshop, Acing the Interview Every Time. If you're ready to walk into your next interview feeling fully prepared, confident, and ready to impress, this webinar is for you. I am Brittany Knowles. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm the Learning and Development Specialist here at Career Circle, where skills go to work. I have brown eyes. I have black hair and a natural hairstyle. I have on clear, wide brimmed glasses along with a red animal print, a shirt. I wanted to get festive today. All right. I'm so delighted to speak with you all today. Today, we're going to be pulling back the curtain on what it truly takes to ace an interview every single time. Get ready to level up your interview game and walk into your next opportunity with confidence. So before we get started, just wanted to do a few housekeeping things here. We are currently recording this webinar to ensure accessibility for all participants. You can also enable closed captioning via your browser. We recommend using Google Chrome, where you can click on the three dots in the upper right-hand corner, click on settings, and then accessibility. You may refer to the screenshot in the presentation, reference a breakdown of instructions on how to access closed captioning on different browsers in the content section to your right, or you can reach out to my esteemed colleagues over at the tech support booth. They are happy to assist you, everyone. All right. So with that being said, let's get into some of the resources. How can you access them? Y'all, we get this question every single time. All of the resources that we discussed today and more can be located on the content tab near the people and discussion feed to your right. All resources and the recording, I repeat, all resources and the recording will be emailed to you after the event. Please make sure to watch until the end as we have a wealth of information to share with you. Now, this next slide is super important to me because this is an opportunity for me to be able to hear from you. Before we get started with the presentation, this QR code is what we would like for you to take note of. You can open it on your phone and share your feedback with us. We'll be doing a raffle with all respondents, and one of you will win a Career Circle tote bag. The winner will be contacted next week, Tuesday, March the 31st. If you miss it, no worries. We'll send the survey in our post email after the event, okay? But if you want to give us your thoughts during the event, we'd love to hear from you. Now, with that being said, let's get started, y'all. On a scale of 1 to 5, how confident do you feel right now in your ability to answer? Tell me about yourself. 1 being not confident at all, don't ask me, please. Or 5, I'm ready to ace the interview right now, and I just wanted to make sure that I had all the tools in my toolbox. Tell me where you land on that scale, 1 or 5. And I'm saying all of these hellos. Hello, Beatrice. Hello, Leslie. Hello, Kelly. Hello, Christy, Lena, Judy, Sherelle, Josephine, Nandini, Damian, Janisha, Christopher, Travion. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see what you got here. Moving down. Okay, I see a 1. Renee, we are going to take you from a 1 to a 5. All right. I am confident we're going to get you there. Myself, along with my colleague, Daniel, we got your back. John, you're a 4. We're going to push you up to a 5. I see a 3. I see a 2. I see a 4. Okay, so we have a large range here. All right. So I am confident that we are going to be able to boost that score a little bit. So let's get into what to do before the interview, y'all. And so I want you to, as we're going through this conversation, I want you to really take yourself in your mind on this journey with me so that when it comes down to you being able to do it for yourself, all of this will come natural for you. So first things first, before the interview, please research the company. You want to understand its mission. You want to understand its values, the culture, anything that's happening in the news surrounding the company. That is absolutely going to set you apart from others that are applying for the role. Why so often people just connect with the role and then connect with the salary. But an individual who has done research on the company truly sees themselves as part of the company and wants to potentially stay. It gives not red flags, it gives green flags. It gives green flags to hiring managers when you're able to speak to the company and how it aligns with your career trajectory, how it aligns with your values, how it aligns with your purpose. And so doing that research is incredibly important to be able to speak to when you get into the interview. Understanding the role, so knowing the job description and the required skills. Understand that when you come into an interview, they're going to be asking you questions about how you're going to come in and add value. And so how do you do that? By understanding what the expectations are and being able to communicate how you're going to be able to do that. And you'll only be able to do that if you understand the role, y'all. Next, you want to practice common questions. Practice common questions. So prepare answers for frequently asked interview questions. Now, y'all, I'm going to ask real quick. I'm going to look down in the chat. What are some frequently asked questions that you may get in terms of an interview? I'll give you one. What are your strengths and weaknesses? That was one of the questions that I always prepared for because it was one of the questions that I had the hardest time answering. Like, how do you, I was raised in a way that you don't brag about yourself. So here it is. I got to tell you all the amazing things about me, right? And then I got to turn around and tell you all the things about me that maybe I don't want you to know, right? Like maybe I want to be able to give you this good impression. So I got to tell you the things that I need help with, that I need assistance with, that I need processes to support me on. So definitely that was one of those questions that comes up often, but you absolutely want to prepare for those kinds of questions. All right. Oh, I love this. Look at y'all participating in the chat. All right. Nikisha said, why should I hire you? Absolutely. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Absolutely. Tell me about yourself. Why are you interested in the role? Absolutely. Why do you want to work here? Hello. Excellent. Tell me how you prioritize your work. How do you handle conflict? All excellent questions, and questions that can absolutely give you pause. Okay, it may make you hesitate, perhaps. You want to be able to fluently speak to these questions with confidence. And so you definitely want to practice, and that goes into preparing your own questions. So one of the things that I have heard is a red flag for hiring managers is when an applicant, a potential employee, does not have questions. This is something that truly, when you're showing an interest in the company, you recognize that as much as they are interviewing you, you're interviewing them as well to see if this is going to be a good fit for that work-life balance that we all strive to have. And so prepare your questions. What would the successful candidate look like? What would be a typical day for someone in this role? Those kinds of questions. Where do you see this position in the future? Is there the ability to move up in the company? Like, those are kinds of questions that you want to try to have in your back pocket when you are interviewing for a position. You may be bold. I have had certain individuals that may ask about salary on that initial conversation in an interview. And maybe Daniel can speak to whether or not that is the best time to answer that sort of question. And I've mentioned Daniel. Let me just say, Daniel is the subject area expert that's going to be joining us at the bottom of the hour for QA. And so I hope that you all are holding on to your questions, because he will be the one to be able to answer some of them for you towards the QA portion of today's conversation. All right. So preparing your questions. Now, next component is reviewing your resume. So you want to make sure that you are looking over your resume to ensure that there are no punctuation issues, no grammatical issues. You want to make sure that your dates and everything match up. You want to make sure that the font that you're using matches up. You want to make sure that you are giving the best impression possible. So make sure that not only are you reviewing your resume to ensure that it is up to par, but you're also making sure that the resume is relevant to the role that you're applying for. And so oftentimes we have individuals that have one resume and they use that one resume for every single job that they may be applying for. You want to make sure that you're personalizing your resume to align your experience and your achievements to the job and the role that you're applying for. That is absolutely going to put you in a better position and have you to stand out amongst your peers that are applying for the same role as you. Next, you want to look at mock interviews. So practice with a friend, practice with a mentor. And hello, this is what we're here for. This is what career coaches do. And so if you need support, absolutely connect with us on that. All right. And then know the interview format. So understand if it's going to be a panel and you're going to be speaking to multiple individuals. Understand if it's going to be a one-on-one and the kinds of questions that you may ask on a one-on-one that you may not ask within a panel. Understand if it's going to be virtual. Understand if it's going to be over the phone. Understand if it's going to be in person. All of these different formats require a different thing from you. And so you want to ensure that you recognize what the format is so that you can best prepare for that. All right. So moving right along, we are going to go into what to look for and what to do during your interview. So arrive early. I was told there's a saying that if you're on time, you're late. Okay. And so you want to make sure that you're aiming for that 10 to 15 minute before the interview starts. And y'all, if you're anything like me, 10 to 15 minutes is probably the least amount of time that I give myself to be early, because I can sometimes be directionally challenged, y'all. All right. And so because of that, I can oftentimes go an hour beforehand just to make sure that I am where I need to be as far as the building, that I know where the room number is. And I won't necessarily go into the business an hour beforehand. I'll wait in my car, or I'll get a coffee, or whatever the case may be. But I try to go ahead of time to ensure that I'm not stressed and I'm feeling pressure because I'm rushing, trying to get someplace. You want to make sure that you are as relaxed as possible so you can truly bring your best self to that interview. You want to dress appropriately, wear professional attire. Y'all, I cannot stress this enough. Okay. As much as you have worked hard to get whatever educational credential, have the professional experience, have worked through the questions and whatever pitfalls that you may want to address. You've prepared for this. But oftentimes, we do ourselves a disservice when we don't dress the part. There are certain individuals, and it's unfortunate, but there are certain individuals that cannot look past the outward shell, and that impression can make or break decisions. And so you absolutely want to ensure that you are putting your best foot forward so that all of the practice and all of the structure and everything that you've put into this, you're setting yourself up for success. Next, you want to listen carefully. Pay attention to the questions and take a moment to think before answering. Y'all, I'm going to give you one of the things that I love to do. Oftentimes when I'm in a situation, in an interview or in a meeting, and I want to give a good impression, there's pressure. There's a bit of pressure. And so even as someone is speaking to me, I may be thinking, oh, shoot, I could have answered the previous question better, or oh, did I double park downstairs? Like my mind may wander. And so because of that, what helps me to focus is to write down the question so that I can see it, especially if it's a question that has more than one part. And so with that listening carefully part of it, you may want to actually write the question down. That'll give you an opportunity to take a moment, take a beat, process what the question is and be able to answer it. And if you're thinking about that awkward moment where the question is being asked and maybe you've taken a pause, you can always say in the beginning of the interview, hey, I just wanted to make sure that I truly answered all of your questions as efficiently as possible and with as much context as possible. So I hope that you don't mind me taking notes so that I can make sure that I am addressing your questions appropriately. And I have heard of no one ever having an issue with that. So just something to note. Show enthusiasm, y'all. Demonstrate your interest in the role and the company. Recognize that, again, there are individuals that will look past your experience and everything that you bring. And if you are not showing an interest, if you are not showing enthusiasm, if you are not personable, if you are not likable, that may impact their decision. And so make sure that you are demonstrating through your interpersonal that you're the conversation that you have, that you're showing that enthusiasm. That will take you a long way. Again, ask questions. Asking questions, enthusiasm truthfully and authentically. And you want to answer behavioral interview questions using the STAR method. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more STAR method in a sec. But you know what? Let me take a moment. And y'all, if you haven't already noticed, I have a background in teaching. And so it's almost like I feel like I'm talking to my students. So I know some of you all have been to some of these webinars before. And so if you remember what the STAR method is before I get to it, put it in the chat. I'd love to hear from you and give you your kudos. All right. So for those of you that don't know what the STAR method is, we are going to be talking about that a little later in the conversation. All right. And then next, we want to be concise. Keep your answers focused and relevant. You want it to be between 45 seconds and a minute. That is the sweet spot. All right. So I'm going to check down and see whether or not anybody remembers what that STAR method is. Let me see. Oh, okay. I'm over here. Y'all got me interested. I see. What about virtual interviews? You got to tell me what that question is. What are virtual interviews? I will tell you if I'm understanding your question correctly. If you're asking what a virtual interview is, it's when a person invites you potentially through a calendar invite to Teams or to Zoom. And so just like what I'm doing right now, where I am in my home office, I could be interviewing with you through using this platform. So virtual interviews is you being able to use whatever telecommunications to be able to do an interview and talk to people within a virtual environment. Okay. All right. Let's see if we got anybody that said what the STAR method is. Okay, I see situation, task, action, result, situation, task. Okay. I see some of you. Y'all was paying attention on the previous conversations. I love it. Thank you so much for your participation. Let's get into the next component. What goes into an elevator pitch? All right. So looking at an elevator pitch, the intro and purpose. Who are you? What is your purpose? Who is this for? So you want to ask these questions as you're developing how you're going to pitch yourself to someone. Okay, past and present. So you want to think about your relevant work experience, your volunteer work, your hobbies and your interests, your strengths and your skills, accomplishments, your education and certifications. You want to think about all of those components and then where you're trying to go. So, your intro, what's happening and what has happened, and where you're trying to go. And that's your career goals, your interest, as well as what you would like to know about the individual, about the company. And so that's something to make sure that you're thinking.
Brittany, it looks like you're glitching a little bit. Maybe turn off your camera and give that a shot. Thanks for your patience, everyone. While we wait in the interim, okay, Brittany, are you back?
I am here. Hello. Are we
Wonderful. Yeah, I think you were glitching a little bit. Maybe turn off your camera and see if that helps.
okay? I
Thanks,
absolutely
everyone, for your
will.
patience. Yeah.
Are we, can we see? I mean, or hear me?
Yes, I think we're good now.
My apologies, everyone. Okay, so what I was saying was imagine that you are in New York and you are at a skyscraper that has 20 to 30 floors. And it just so happens you get on the elevator with the CEO of your dream company, and you have until they get to their floor of their office to tell this person about yourself and why you should get your dream role. That's what an elevator pitch is. And so it's the opportunity to be able to introduce yourself, to be able to talk about who you are, what you do, and what you would like to see in the future. And so these elements are incredibly important to make sure that you are including in your elevator pitch. Okay. So, some common elevator pitch mistakes: it being too long or too short. And so, again, thinking about what it would be for you to go from the bottom floor to the 20th floor, however long that takes, a minute or so at the most. You want to make sure that you are not taking longer than that. Oftentimes, people are able to judge within, and they do judge within that short period of time. You want to be able to attack them with greatness and give them something to think about. All right. You want to ensure that you're not becoming overly personal. And so, especially in a professional setting, we can sometimes, especially when we are ambitious and it's a opportunity that we're very invested in, and maybe it really aligns with your purpose, and maybe the reason why you want to get into this space is because of your cousin who did X, Y, and Z, and because of that, this is the reason why this is so important to me and why this role would be amazing. That's awesome. But in an elevator pitch, you may not want to include that component in because you have a short period of time to be able to grasp people's attention and be able to move the conversation forward. So, just something to think about, not knowing your audience. And so, as you are thinking through your elevator pitch, you want to personalize it just like you do your resume. You want to personalize it to whom you're speaking with. And so, recognize that if you have a role that you are interested in, that maybe some of the accomplishments that you've had in the past are very technical in nature, and the person that you're talking with is maybe on an executive level and doesn't deal with that day to day, or does not per se communicate using the same acronyms that you may use within your job, or the same jargon. You want to make sure that as you're speaking, that you're thinking through even the language that you're using to ensure that the person that you're speaking with truly understands what you bring to the table and what value that you have. All right. Memorizing the speech, y'all. You want to be authentic. You want to be genuine. You want things to be organic. That is what truly sticks. And so, memorizing your speech, it absolutely is obvious. It is obvious, and it can sometimes come off disingenuous. And so you want to Try not to do that. Okay. And then you want to avoid the pitfalls of being too vague or too generalizing, too something you want to make sure that it is personalized, as I mentioned before. All right. And for those that did not know what the STAR method was, let's get into it now. The STAR method is situation, setting the scene and giving the necessary details of your example, task, describing what your responsibility was in the situation, action, describing exactly what steps you took to address it, and the end result. Share what outcome your actions achieved. Thank you all so much, those that answered that question for me. Thank you. Thank you. And for those that maybe this is your first time hearing about the STAR method, please make sure that you are taking mental note of this. This is truly, truly a great tool to put in your toolbox, especially when going into an interview and wanting to make sure that the words that you are saying has the maximum impact. And so make sure that you're noting this. All right, moving on. What is the hardest part of the interview? I'd love to hear from you. You do not have to type all of this into the chat. You can put A, B, C, or D. What is the hardest part of an interview for you? Is it A, explain the result, the impact of your work? Is it keeping your answers concise? Is it remembering a specific story on the spot? Or is it all of the above? I'd love to hear from you. Is it A, B, C, or D? Come on, y'all, talk back to me. Is it A? Is it B? Is it C, or is it D?
I'm seeing lots of D's, especially in the chat. Lots of B's and some people that I can really resonate with saying, I get anxious. What do I do? All of the above. Brittany, let
Thank
me know if you're not
you.
seeing those.
I was not seeing those, and I'm so glad that you are responding back to me and letting me see what I cannot see because I am definitely seeing more of the STAR method and just some enthusiasm in the chat. Thank you all so much for responding to my question. So yes, a wide range, a wide range. So we are going to put it to practice, okay? And so researching common interview questions for whichever field you're applying to, you want to practice your answers on your AI, whatever AI engine that you use, you want to practice and ask for feedback. And y'all, I'm going to give you a trick that I just found out about. Okay. I had no idea. And y'all don't judge me. Okay. Don't judge me for what I'm about to say, but I would go into AI and I would put, let's just say I wrote an email and I would put into AI, is this good? And AI would always say, this is exceptional. This is wonderful. Brittany, you got it. Like, and it made me feel so good about myself. And then someone told me that AI, for the most part, is always agreeable. Okay. So, one of the things that I have started doing now is asking AI, is there any gaps in what I'm asking for? Is there anything that is missing? Can you look at this through a critical lens? And so, with me now prompting AI to do that, it's helping me to see where I might have missed it, where I may have lost it. And so, you definitely want to ask AI, but you want AI to give you the full picture so that you can be the most prepared. Okay. So just a little trick tip that I wanted to offer. Okay. Next, practice your elevator pitch. And so time how long it takes you to answer or to do your elevator pitch. Do it. Like Nike says, just do it. Have a notebook. Okay, so you want to have a notebook with some reminders of situations you've encountered throughout your work experience to jog your memory during the interview. This goes back to when I was saying to you about writing down notes. having some sort of writing utensil, not a cell phone. You don't want to put it into your cell phone because it could give off that you are not paying attention, that you are distracted. So you don't want to use a cell phone. You want to keep it old school. Take out a pen, a pencil, and a pad of paper to be able to notate questions that you may have that come up as as the interview is going through, the actual interview questions themselves. And then prior to, you wanted to, if you know that you want to use that star method, if you know that there are certain instances that have occurred in your work experience that you know you've done well with and is something that you are proud of, make sure that you're jotting those things down so that in the moment, uh, when the spotlight is on you and you are in the hot seat, that you're not forgetting about some of those exceptional examples that you may have, to be able to really demonstrate what you bring and the value that you add. Okay. So next, we're going to talk through what to do after your interview. And y'all, this is something that oftentimes gets missed. So this is truly going to set you apart from your peers that were not here today, okay? Next time, make sure that you're inviting them to the webinar because we want everyone to have this information so they can be as successful as possible. Number one, numero uno, send a thank you note, okay? And you want to do that within 24 hours. Y'all, I cannot stress enough how beneficial sending a thank you note is. When you do so, if there was something that occurred during the interview that maybe in the moment under pressure with you being in the hot seat, maybe you did not answer the way that you might have wanted to. This is another opportunity. It's another a chance at the bat. Okay, look at me trying to give sports analogies. And so, in your thank you note, you could add. And by the way, I just wanted to reiterate my blankety blank blankety blank, right? You want to thank you for your time, thank you for your attention. I look forward to hearing from you, as well as in there you could also put in whatever response that you had and how you've processed through that and how that really, impacted you. You want to do that. That absolutely is a green flag, okay? You want to reflect on the interview, consider what went, what could be improved for the next one. Okay. You want to follow up. If you haven't heard back within the given time frame, send a polite follow-up email. Now, y'all, let me go back really quick because I think that this is one of the questions that you should always ask. At the end of an interview, you want to ask, was there anything that, or any question that I answered? I'm sorry. Yes, any question that I answered that gives you pause? Is there any reason why you may have reservations about hiring me? That's one question that I believe you should always ask. And then the second question would be, can you tell me what the next steps are? Because I don't know if you're like me, but I am, I get anxious when I don't know what to expect. And so if I know that this could take a month for me to hear back, then I can have a little bit of peace about it. I can give myself grace that I didn't fail this. I have time. If I was supposed to hear back by the end of the week and it's now 3 months later, it's time to do that follow up. And you don't know. Oftentimes, people can sometimes be not as responsive or not as communicative after the interview. So you want to make sure that you're getting that time frame up front so that you kind of know how to navigate that process. Okay. You want to connect on LinkedIn. Y'all, LinkedIn is such an underused tool often within early talent, individuals that are just coming into the workforce, or maybe individuals that are have a ton of experience. There is oftentimes in different spaces and for different reasons, it's being underutilized. But LinkedIn is such a incredibly beneficial tool, especially when it comes down to job opportunities and networking. And so please make sure, if you haven't already done so, that you have created a LinkedIn. And for instance, in a situation like this, you all should be connecting with each other on LinkedIn. I oftentimes, when we have these kinds of conversations, tell you all to put your link into the chat so that you all can connect and build community. We should have community and be able to talk about these things. You all are in this space and going through something similar, all trying to get to the next level and have opportunities. Connect with each other and connect with me. Connect with the members of Career Circle. We're here to support you. We're here to help you to get to the next level. All right. Prepare for next steps. Be ready for potential follow-up interviews or assessments. You want to make sure that if you're utilizing an email, if you're anything like me, I have a number of emails. If you use an email for professional reasons, make sure that you are actually checking your emails periodically. That is so incredibly important. You don't want to miss any communication that may be coming through. You want to seek feedback. If you didn't get the job, ask for a feedback to improve. That is incredibly, incredibly important and something that gets overlooked often. And then celebrate your efforts. Acknowledge the hard work you put into the process. All right. All right. So we talked a little bit about how to use AI to practice for interviews, but these are a few other ways to do so. So you want to ask AI to role play as a hiring manager for specific job titles and then get those feedback. And as I've said, make sure that you're asking AI to be critical with you so that you know if there's any gaps when it comes down to your responses. All right. Use AI to improve your STAR responses. So provide a draft response to an experience and ask AI to reshape it using STAR. And so maybe you're an individual that understands STAR, but the way that you communicate, it doesn't come as fluently for you. Being able to see it through the lens that aligns best with that method, it'll help you to be fluent when you actually have to do it in your interview. You want to use AI to research the company and role. I can't stress enough how beneficial this is, but I will tell you this. You want to make sure that you have some sort of QA. So use AI to gather that initial foundational information, but make sure that you're actually going to the website to ensure that you have the most up-to-date and the most relevant information. And so you definitely want to cross-check and cross-reference that. That's so important. All right. And then use AI to find a skills build course that works for you. Y'all, skills build is amazing. If you have not already done so, please sign up, enroll to be able to take those free IBM Skills Build courses. That is going to set you apart from your peers without a doubt. And my wonderful colleague put on the presentation one of the courses that could benefit you, since we know that you're interested in acing your professional interview. This is one of the course titles that aligns with that to give you even more in-depth information about that. All right. So if you haven't already done so, I hope that I'm able to use my influence positively by letting you know how beneficial it is so that you can move forward with that. All right. All right. The interview prep cheat sheet. Okay. So you want to make sure that you have a component to tell about yourself, your work journey, your experience, and you want to make sure that that is 1 to 3 minutes. You want to talk through why did you leave your previous position? Y'all, can't stress this enough. You do not want to speak to anything negative because it will be a reflection on you. And recognize that when you speak negatively about your previous situation, oftentimes people think about what you may say about them in the future. And so you definitely want to make sure that you're neutral about the reason why you might have left. And that's absolutely going to be beneficial to you moving forward. What is your strength? Discuss this, reflect on it, get confident with it, get familiar with it, get comfortable with it. If you're anything like me, it can sometimes be difficult to talk about those things, but get comfortable with it. Okay. What is your area of opportunity? Look at it as an opportunity as opposed to a weakness. And then think through how you are actively working through whatever that is. And so you don't just want to provide a problem without a solution. You want to talk through this being an area of opportunity for growth and then how you are actively growing in that area. Then you want to talk through that STAR method that we already mentioned: situation, task, action, resolution. You want to talk through what sets you apart from others. And so those strengths, how you overcame challenges. Then how do you manage your time? And so that prioritization, someone had mentioned about. And then what questions do you have for us? This is your cheat sheet, y'all. So with that being said, I have a question for you. In what word, not one word, in one word, what do you want an employer to remember most about you after an interview? In one word, what do you want an employer to remember most about you after an interview?
Brittany, I'll tag in here just in case. I see personality, integrity, commitment, competent, personable, determined, personality, ready, dynamic, practical,
I love this. I love this. Keep them coming. Keep them coming.
flexible, brings results, team player, creativity, enthusiastic. I see a lot of capables, which is great.
Yes, 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 and yes again. I love this. Thank you so much, Jess. I really appreciate you. All right. I want to ensure before we move on to QA with Daniel, I wanted to make sure that you are informed about our upcoming events. We're going to be expanding upon today's webinar, and you can do this by joining this event that's happening in 2 days. Thursday, you can hear from executives from IBM and Tech Systems, where they will discuss how to amplify your personal brand and put your best foot forward. You can register by going to www.careercircle.com/events. We hope to see you there. Now, without further ado, the man of the next 17 minutes, my friend, my colleague, none other than Daniel. He's gonna be he's gonna be answering questions from you in the chat. Daniel, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me and see me?
I can hear you.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. I was making sure my computer wasn't going to mess up, so we're good.
Perfect. Perfecciones. All right. So these are some of the questions that we got from our amazing audience today. Question number one: how should you act differently for virtual versus in-person interviews? Should I still arrive early? Oh, that's an excellent question.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Great question. So, the expectations are going to be slightly different, but the fundamentals will basically stay the same. So, for both virtual and in person interviews, you should still treat it as professional, as intentional as possible. So, that means being prepared, being engaged, and respectful of time. So, yes, I absolutely agree. You should still arrive earlier for both. For in person interviews, I would say typically aim for about a 10 to 15-minute early time frame. For virtual interviews, I would typically log in about 5 to 10 minutes early. If you're feeling a little bit squirrely about it, maybe 15 minutes. The reasoning why for virtuals you want to still arrive early is because there's a lot of problems that can happen virtually, especially for troubleshooting purposes. So you want to make sure you can test things like your audio, your camera, your internet. So being early shows that reliability either way. How you act can definitely change a little bit as well, whether it's going to be a virtual or in-person interview. So for virtual interviews, I would definitely be extra mindful of eye contact, right? Making sure you're looking at the camera, minimalizing distractions, and speaking clearly, since body language is going to be a lot more limited in that case. For an in-person interview, your body language obviously matters. So like your posture, handshake, if it's appropriate, and how you interact when walking or sitting, like that can definitely matter. So yeah, so basically as far as how you dress for both, the rule is simple, right? I would dress professionally for both, even for virtual interviews. You should definitely dress as if you were meeting them in person. So that helps you show respect first and foremost, but also helps you put you in the right mindset overall. But it's a great question. Oh,
I can jump on in here. Yeah, thanks so much for your answer there too. Kind of on the topic of dressing appropriately, we've got the question, what does dress appropriately mean nowadays? So how do I know how that varies by industry?
Gotcha. Great question. So this does pop up all the time. So dress appropriately today is much more flexible than it used to be. So like a full suit is not always required anymore, especially in tech, startups, or different creative fields. So what is kind of expected though is that you look polished, intentional, and put together. So for most roles today, business smart or business casual is perfectly acceptable. Whether it's like a blazer, a button down, a nice blouse, maybe slacks, a professional skirt, clean neutral shoes, and then minimal distractions or overly casual items as well. So for me, that being said, the safest rule is to match the level of the role in the company. So if you're interviewing for, let's say, a corporation or a very client-facing corporation or a leadership position or role, leaning more formal is still a good idea. Even if it's a more casual company, business smart, I should say, shows effort without feeling outdated, so to speak. And so with that being said, a very important tip I would recommend, it is always better to be slightly overdressed than underdressed, right? So being well dressed is never really held against you ever, but being too casual can be. So it's definitely important to take that into consideration when going to that. So hopefully I was able to elaborate on that more.
Absolutely. And it's so funny because I was talking to myself, y'all. I put myself on mute. Okay. See? So, my next question is, can you give us an example of what your elevator pitch would be? Oh, this is good. I'm glad it is your question and not mine, Daniel.
Oh, no worries. I totally get it. It is definitely a nerve-wracking question. So I did see it in the chat. It's a great question. So I'm going to go into it as an example, as if I was. My name will be Daniel Pugh in this example, and we'll say that I'm a data coordinator and I'm applying for, let's say, a data analyst position. Okay. So the way I would give a good like 55-second, maybe like a minute elevator speech is I would say, hey, what's going on? My name's Daniel Pugh. I currently work as a data coordinator at, we'll say, Northway Solutions is the company, just to make something up, where I support internal teams by making sure our data is accurate, it's organized, and ready for reporting and decision making. So in my current role, I actually work closely with analysts and operational teams to clean that data, to validate that data, and support different dashboards and recurring reports that we have. And there's a lot of troubleshooting of that data when something doesn't look right. So I regularly use and work with tools like Excel, SQL, Tableau, and I found that I really enjoy digging into those trends and understanding what that data is actually telling us. So I just recently completed the Google Data Analytics certificate, which helped significantly in terms of strengthening my skills in analytical and visualization storytelling. And so that's why I'm very excited about this data analytics role, because I'm looking to take that next step into a more hands-on analytical role where I can contribute directly to either insights or continue growing that technicality, and support that data-driven decision-making at a much deeper level than what I'm currently at. So that right there, that's a pretty good elevator speech, right? Where it's about, I would say, probably give or take 5 seconds from 45 to a minute. And that gives a very clear intention in regards to it being clear. It's very grounded. It shows relevance without really over-explaining. It demonstrates that motivation, like not just experience of like why I'm trying to go into that next position. And for this particular example, obviously that career transition makes sense. But it ends with value. It's not a question. It ends with value as to like what I can bring to the employer and kind of where my mindset is in regards to this particular role. So hopefully I did pretty good in regards to an on-the-spot elevator pitch.
You did better than good. Okay. I need to give you like the virtual hand, the snaps, like the clocking it. You did amazing. Okay. Like, You're the man. Okay, I love that.
Thank you.
How do you recommend handling a question where you genuinely don't know the answer? Oh, this is good.
Mhm.
This is good. Without it derailing your confidence for the rest of the interview. That's a great question.
Gotcha. And this happens to everyone, including myself. So definitely don't feel bad about it at all. It's a great question. So if you generally don't know the answer, the most important thing I would do is to stay composed and honest, right? So it's okay to say something like, that's a great question. I don't have a complete answer off the top of my head right now, but here's how I would approach it. And then from that point, from there, you can really talk through a wide variety of things. You can talk through what you do know that's relevant, that's related or relevant to that, how you would problem solve, research, or learn to figure that answer out, or in a similar situation you've handled before that is relevant to the question. So I know interviewers are often less focused on the exact answer and they're more interested in how you think, communicate, and adapt really under pressure. So what you want to avoid, honestly, is guessing wildly, shutting down, or apologizing excessively. Like, so one question does not define your entire interview. So most interviewers understand that no one's going to know everything. That would be impossible. But handling that situation, the question handled well, it can build a lot of credibility because it shows honesty, self-awareness, and confidence, which might be what they're looking for in a position like that. So I totally understand. I do the same thing where I might get nervous or say, hey, I don't know the question. I don't know the answer to that. So it's important to have that composure for it.
Daniel, you are on it today. Okay. Like, I love it.
No
I
worries.
love that response. That was a mic drop moment. Okay. So, next question. How should a candidate reframe a gap in employment, a firing, or a failed venture without it becoming a liability?
Gotcha. It's so gap employment, a firing, or a failed venture without it becoming a liability. Okay. The key is going to be reframing. Okay. So the best approach in terms of like reframing that is going to be keeping it brief, honest, and very forward focused. So, for example, let's say you have a gap in employment. I would focus on what you did during that time, whether that's learning new skills, whether that's earning a certificate or a certification, whether that's freelancing, caregiving, or being intentional about your next step. Let's say maybe you were fired from the position, just to put an example for that. I would acknowledge it calmly, right? Take ownership where appropriate and explain what you learned and how you've grown since that position. Or let's say it was a failed venture, just like you asked. I would reframe that into as a learning experience, right? What did you try? What did work? What didn't work for it? And how that experience made you stronger or more informed when going for the next opportunity. So for me, a good rule of thumb is the context is very important. The lesson is very important. The growth is important. And then what's next? That's going to be most important as well. So it's not about avoiding that particular topic. It's about showing what you learned and how you move forward when applying for roles. That was a really good question, though.
Very, very excellent question. The next question is, how do you advise candidates preparing for panel interviews versus one-on-ones? Is it fundamentally different?
Gotcha. I'm going to assume for this one, when we say one-on-ones, we mean like a one-on-one interview. I'm assuming that's
Yes.
what it means.
Yes,
Okay.
that's my assumption as well.
Okay, gotcha. So for panel interview versus one-on-one, so the preparation isn't fundamentally different, but the execution is going to be slightly different. So for a one-on-one interview, the conversation is usually a bit deeper and more personal, and you can build rapport more naturally in that environment, right? You can adjust your answers based on the interviewer's reactions. You can go a little bit deeper into examples when appropriate, if that makes sense. But for panel interviews, the biggest difference is going to be usually intentional structure and awareness. So in a panel interview, when you're answering a question or just a question or many questions, you're being evaluated by multiple people in that panel. Often the reasoning for that is for different functions within that company. So there's ways you can slightly adjust. Ideally, you're still going to use the same core prep that we talked about earlier, which is going to be the STAR method. Your elevator pitch is going to be important, soul research or role research, all that stays the same. But for more structured and panel interviews, clear, concise answers helps everyone in the panel follow along. And then I would engage the whole panel, specifically in panel interviews. So I would start your answer by acknowledging the person who asked the question, and then make eye contact with the others as you speak. That way, everyone in the room feels acknowledged, and that way it's not rushed. And that goes to my next point. Don't rush. Panels can definitely feel very intimidating. So that nerves might be kicking in, and you might want to rush a little bit quicker. But even just pausing and answering those questions thoughtfully actually comes across as a much more confident than panicking. But yeah, the other thing is expect different perspectives as well in a panel interview. So one person may, based on the company, might care more about technical skills. Another might care more about collaboration. That's normal and to be expected, to be honest with you. Whereas in a one-on-one, you're not really going to see that. Off the top, those are really the only two, between those two, the panel and one-on-one interviews, that's pretty much the only major differences. Like I said, a lot of it is going to be very similar. It's just slightly different execution.
This has been incredible. We have 2 more questions and you have 2 minutes. So you got to do this.
Oh, gotcha.
60
Okay.
seconds or less
Okay.
for these last 2 questions. But I believe in you because you've been doing amazing. All right. Second to last question is, any specific tips to help with the complete career change? Not having direct matching experience has been a challenge getting interviews. I have skills that transfer great, if not better than some with direct experience. However, it seems as all my applications land into a black hole.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, it's a great question. So career changes are absolutely possible, right? They might require a little bit different strategy overall compared to like a traditional career path. Typically what often holds candidates back isn't their lack of ability. It's often how their experience is being presented to hiring managers and applicant tracking systems, which is called ATS, which pretty much every organization is going to have an ATS system, or ATS, applicant tracking system. So for me, what I would recommend is to lead with a few different skills. So the first one's going to be lead with skills. So don't lead with your job title, lead with the skills. So when you're changing careers, typically your previous titles may not have immediate association or resonance with that role, but your transferable skills will. And so you as a candidate should clearly connect what you've done before to what the new role requires, whether that's, let's say, problem solving or analytics, communication, project ownership, maybe working with the data system, things like that, et cetera. It could be IT support. And then you can also tailor your resume for each role. So sometimes generic resumes can tend to disappear into that like quote unquote black hole. So small adjustments, whether that's aligning language to the job description or reordering bullet points to highlight relevant skills first, can dramatically improve visibility. But also I would use your certificates, right? Your projects, your hands-on strategy strategically, right? So these boot camps you might have completed or a self-guided project to help bridge that experience gap. That'll help significantly, right? Because employers care about how you use that skill that you learned, not just how you studied it more or less. And I honestly would not rely on just applications alone. Like this is a big part of it. Like career changers can see huge results when they combine their applications with networking conversations, with recruiter outreach, with referrals, with LinkedIn optimization. So many interviews honestly happen because someone advocated for a candidate as well, whether that's going through like a networking or recruiter or referral or things like that. So that can be pretty big. So I would reframe it as strategically move forward, not like a reset or a reset or like a weakness. It just builds confidence, that clarity in regards to using your resources when applying for those roles.
Absolutely. And final question. I have a scheduled final panel interview this week. How should I address the interviewers when replying to them or asking questions? Also, how do I professionally and concisely answer why I only lasted 2 months in a company on my resume?
Ooh, okay. Ooh, that's a great question. So, let me think that. So the question was final panel interview. Is that correct? And how you
That's
address the
correct.
interviews when replying to them? Okay, gotcha. So biggest thing I do is how to address that in a panel interview is I would, again, when answering a question, I would start by addressing the person who asked it. So like by name, if you have that. As you continue your answer, I'd make eye contact with the rest of the panel. That way everyone feels included. You can also direct questions to a panel as a whole or to a specific person as it fits that role overall. And to kind of explain that short tenor, like 2 months on a resume, the biggest thing I can recommend is to stay calm, concise, and move forward, right? So you want to avoid over explaining or sounding defensive. Again, going back to kind of that strong structure, like that clarity, the context, the clarity of what you learned and why you moved on. Again, those are very professional, like a go-to situation to be able to fill that in. And let's say there was a second part to the question as well. Is that right?
Yes, it is. The second part to the question was, how do you professionally and concisely answer why a person only lasted 2 months in the company on a resume?
Oh, gotcha. Absolutely. So it depends, right? Like obviously you're going to know exactly what that position was for it. Like maybe it wasn't the right fit, right? So you can explain that, hey, the role ended up being different from what we initially discussed when going for that interview. And after honest conversations, we agreed that it wasn't a fit long term. If it was a layoff or restructuring, as an example, right? You could explain it as, unfortunately, the role was impacted by organizational changes shortly after I joined. And while the tenure was short, it gave me value exposure maybe and reinforced what I'm looking for in that next role. And then maybe if the expectations weren't right, that does happen sometimes, especially in different careers. You could just simply say, hey, after joining, it became clear that the role just didn't align with what my skills were in a way that we both had expected. So I made that decision to move forward intentionally rather than stay in a role that just wasn't a right match for me. So yeah, very, very good question. Hopefully I didn't go too far over time.
You did, but it's okay because you were amazing. Thank you so much, Daniel. You are absolutely incredible. And I thank you, audience, for staying until the end and seeing the value in what we are doing. So thank you for joining the Ace the Interview every time. I hope you're leaving this session feeling more confident, more prepared, and truly ready to walk into your next interview and make a lasting impression. We'll be sending you a post-event email, which will include a recording as well as all the resources we spoke about today. You can also access our event survey by using the QR code that I have here to the left of my head on this screen. We'll be doing a raffle with all respondents, and one of you will win a CareerCircle tote bag. Make sure to like and follow us on our socials to stay up to date on all platform updates. Once again, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you all leave here today feeling empowered and ready to ace your interview with confidence. We've had so much fun, too much fun. It didn't feel like work. Until next time, everyone, see you all in 2 days, Thursday. See you all in 2 days. Bye-bye, y'all.